Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Drawing Down the Stars. I'm Snappy, and thank you for joining me today on June 17th, 2024, for our live tarot session. So, as always, I would just ask you if you could take a moment and like and subscribe. These likes really do help the channel. They influence the algorithm, and it's good karma. It sends me a blessing. It really makes a difference. So please hit that like button. And if you are interested in anything you're going to hear today, you can reach me at snappydtts@gmail.com. If you're interested in a personal reading, reach out. You can also talk to me on Discord, on the Myth and Lore Discord. I'm Lady Snappy or Snappy. Thank you so much. All right. So today is a beautiful day, really interesting energy, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Okay. So we've been seeing all of that Gemini energy for such a long time. We're now seeing kind of a profound shift. Okay. We're seeing this, a couple really interesting shifts. So while Gemini is still in our sun, so we're still in this mode of communication, community, and learning. But now, we're in this mode of Scorpio moon, which is all about that intuition, taking a risk, throwing ourselves out there, being kind of, following our dreams, right? Following after pursuits of love and fancy and being really invested in these kind of images, And we're also having all this kind of Cancer energy coming in. So we have Cancer coming in with Mercury. We have Cancer coming in with Venus, right? In Mercury, this is about us refining. We still have the same kind of desire for knowledge that we had with the Gemini energy in Mercury, but now instead of quantity, it's quality, right? Now it's about pursuing something far more important. We're trying to refine this process. We're trying to really emotionally guide ourselves in this pursuit of knowledge, right? And communication. And with Venus, this is about developing that emotional connection with our lovers and our partners, connecting in this deep, profound way, right? And connecting on that supportive kind of emotional bond way, right? Where we, through each other's presence, we help each other, It's really, really, really beautiful, beautiful stuff. So we really got to be in this, pursuit of just refinement. And with this kind of Cancer energy, especially with their partners, it's like looking to them for that emotional support, looking to them to just flow and to see and learn their emotions as well, right? And this is good for family or for just your friends who you're around in your regular life. You got to really pay attention to people's emotions at this time. This is about learning how to walk around someone, so you don't accidentally step on toes and hurt a person's feelings, because we don't want to do that, right? And we all have various things that can be considered somewhat of a trigger, right? Everyone is different and we're all sensitive in our own ways. And this is about learning your partner and trying to understand them on a deep, emotional, intelligent level, okay? We also are going to have this energy of Taurus in Mars, right? So this is us really working to do that hard building of those, and we're in this kind of traditional mode where we're trying to manifest this kind of connection to that deep traditional law, right? And we're trying to be in flow with the universe and work and build in that slow, methodical way, but in a very ordered, right way, in a very determined way, right? This is us being on the march, but in this kind of slow, progressive, well thought out pursuit. Okay. So as we keep going, we do have also Jupiter is still in Gemini, which we've been dealing with too. So with the Sun in Gemini and Jupiter in Gemini, we have a lot of this really beautiful, just energy of communication and really learning how to speak and how to grow and how to engage in that kind of way. So that's kind of where our astrology is at. And it really fits in with sort of the idea I had for my meditation before I did this, when I came up with the phrase, this idea of just learning to move in flow amongst the waves, right? To not resist transformation, but rather to march along with it. Taurus and Mars is really interesting because Taurus is such stubborn energy, but in Mars, it's very active. So this is us moving, even though we're trying to resist, right? So we really got to be in this acceptance of these transformations too. You know, there's going to be a lot of this change, especially with this Scorpio and moon energy. You know, this could mean travel, it could mean sudden upsets, right? It's a lot of very interesting energy. So just be in this mind. We want to be flowing. We want to be in that. You got to learn how to move with the punches and adapt, right? If patterns and old cycles are holding you back, you have to let them go. This is very, very difficult, but it is essential. It is essential, you know? I always put it in the terms of just aging, right? As you get older, you have to start to watch your diet more and more. You have to exercise more and more. You have to stay more active. You have to combat the effects of aging, right? This is what you always got to do. All right. Let us continue. So I'm going to give a nice shout out here to everyone in the chat before we go to our sortes. So shout out to Nikosmas, always beautiful to see you. Big shout out to Ruby and Jeremy. Hal, if I know, such a fun name. Hello, Sixtus V, always great to see you. Captain Celery of your stock, nice to see you. Casker, great to see you. Mother Rhea, love seeing you. Vitamin 98. Okay, what are you saying? I left a comfy job. Oh, wow. Hi, Vitamin 98. Well, sending you love and blessing in that direction. You know, I hope that you flow with this change, right? And you power through it, like you're saying. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. So before we get deep into it, I wanted to be doing a lot of discussion today and a lot of thinking, you know, and a lot of reading. And it's been a very interesting day. And change and adaptation to change and learning to break cycles has been the ongoing theme for me, you know, and just recognizing this kind of essential feature of not following into the same kind of patterns that result in the same kind of results, right? Having these deep discussions on Discord about how would people pursue proper community and how do you bring momentous change to people, you know, in this debate about the nature of religion. And, you know, personally, I'm very against any of this kind of ideological frameworks that are very restrictive, you know, or binding ourselves to anything. Religio means to bind, right? As soon as you're bound to something, you are no longer able to change. You know, and the whole point is that we want to move and flow in love with nature, right? We want to be able to adapt. That's the one thing she asks of us, right? The one constant, you know? Really got to learn to just embrace that. And I've been talking a lot about this Shiva and Parvati, this romantic kind of epistemology. And I really wanted to talk about this passage that I read. And it's really interesting. It says, I'm just going to read it for you. It says, Shiva has awakened to the pulse and the throb of Spandana. He is now alert to the sound of the Damaru, his drum that he carries, and which, deep in his contemplation, he has always ignored. For isn't the Damaru of Shiva a visual paradigm of the Spandana itself, pulsing out of time, that forever vibration, heralding the Bayun unity of knowledge and work of Shiva and Parvati? It is with the Damaru that announced for the assembled guests at Shiva's wedding his ancestry, forever watchful that the Advatic, that is, non-dualistic state, not be tampered with and replaced by dualism. Now that he dances to the beat of his Damaru, Shiva ensures that non-dualism through his dancing, through his perception. Okay? The idea is always to perceive the other in your action. You know, you have to move and flow with life. You have to become that biune unity that includes the reality, the physical, that ever unfolding, evolving form. If you negate this in nihilism, you are bound to repeat. If you resist time, if you try to stop it, you only ensure your own stagnation and forced remodeling. Nature will remake you. If you do not adapt, you will be remade. We are all meant to go through these experiences again and again, right? Until we learn responsibility, until we can adapt and change and break the cycles that bind us, right? This is always the mythic image. And we have to learn how to love reality, how to love life, how to love each other, how to see the divine in everything around us, and how to chase after it, in spite of the suffering, in spite of the difficulties, right? Recognize that reality is a mirror and see yourself reflected in her, and that you and her are one, but also many. Okay? Beautiful. So that was the message I just wanted to talk about, just something that was personal to me, and I felt you guys, everyone would benefit from. And I hope you all enjoyed that. So now we're going to do some sortes. Wanted to do something fun and bring an interesting book, something a little bit different that I don't normally use, but an interesting find. So this is a really fun book. It's called In Tune with the Infinite by Ralph Waldo Trine. Trine is a really interesting figure, kind of a Christian magical figure. He is a part of a movement called New Thought. New Thought is kind of notorious. It has a lot of these money-making schemes, a lot of this money-making magic, get rich quick, positive thinking. All of that stuff kind of is born out of New Thought, you know. But Trine doesn't go that way. He doesn't try to sell you anything. He has a far more pantheistic, Christian Scientist, even monistic perspective. And there's a lot of beauty in here, but even more than this specific book, what is really interesting here is the person who owned it, okay? What I absolutely love finding is finding books that have been well loved and well used. This was a book that was owned by a gentleman named Harry F. Given, who lived on 4 St. Clair Avenue, City View, Ottawa in 1955. And he wrote in just about every margin of every page on this book, almost, like underlining, going through, offering his perspective. And it's so interesting. And it just really is fun. And I believe that this was, when I first found this book as a young person, I was attracted to it because of its Christian kind of connection. But this kind of awakened me to a lot of different stuff. Very interesting book. You know, a lot of this kind of neo-Vedantic kind of Christian pantheism, for lack of a better term. But this was a book that I found profoundly inspiring to me, so I think it's a good book to use as a sortes. So let's see, what is the message from the Muse? So, for those of you who aren't familiar, the sortes is a form of bibliomancy, that is divination by literature. And today I am going to, it's divination, sorry, it's also in the Roman and Greek tradition. So what you do is you invoke the power of the muses, the goddesses of inspiration, and you ask them to guide your hand, and you realign a text. And we allow the muses to guide us. We say, muses, guide our hand. Show us what message we need to hear. How do we move and flow? What is the inspiration that should guide us? What is good policy? To be yourself first, last, and always. What is good policy? To be yourself first, last, and always. Now, what more beautiful of a line could we have received to open up today's sortes? To thine own self be true, right? And it must follow as the night, the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. For those who know Shakespeare. Beautiful, right? Wow. Okay, I love that. As if. Okay. All right, let us continue with some sortes here. We're going to go to the Iliad and the Odyssey. Okay. This is Chapman's Homer. It's not the best Homer, but is the cheap Homer. So let us go through and say, Muses, guide my hand. What is the inspiration? What is the message we need to take forward? How do we move and flow? Give us inspiration and guidance. Not all the wealth of well-built Troy possessed brought peace there. I'm sorry. Not all the wealth of well-built Troy possessed when peace was there. Not all the wealth of well-built Troy possessed when peace was there. That is a wild line. This is the reality. War makes money. Conflict is its own reward to a lot of these nation states, right? And this lays it plainly. You know, when was Troy at its most abundant? When it was at war. You know, this is a harsh message. You know, sometimes peace has to be its own reward. You know, if you're after that material wealth, if you're after greed, you won't be achieving peace. Interesting. Let us continue. We're going to go now to, let's go to Crowley, the Book of Thoth, the tarot book extraordinaire. I highly recommend everyone read this. Let us ask the Muses, guide my hand. What is the message? How do we move best in flow? All right. Perching upon the flame-like uprights of her throne are two of her most sacred birds, the sparrow and the dove. The nub of this symbolism must be sought in the poems of Catullus and Martial. Oh wow, those of you who are into the mystery, you're getting a source here. Two sources. Okay. Perching upon the flame like uprights of her throne are two of her most sacred birds, the sparrow and the dove. The nub of this symbolism must be sought in the poems of Catullus and Martial. We got to go to Catullus and Martial, I think. Right? And it's also interesting, right? We're getting this incredible imagery, the goddess upon her throne with her sacred birds, the sparrow and the dove. Right? This is the duality we're seeing of that goddess, of that love goddess. Pandemos and Urania, right? The lowly, this is the yin and the yang, these doves in many ways. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to have to bring some Catullus and Martial, I believe, to our next reading, potentially. Okay, let us continue. Let us continue. What do we feel like today? Ooh, you know, let's keep it Euripides. How about that? Okay. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message? How do we best move forward and flow? What words can we be inspired by today? Oh, gosh. This is kind of wild because I was just talking about this. I'm just going to read the whole line because I was just talking about this in Discord. Not this play, but this image. Captain, who holds sway over this Hellen host, Lord Agamemnon, Never will you launch your vessel from this shore until Artemis receives as victim your maiden daughter, Iphigenia. For you did vow you would sacrifice to the goddess of light the fairest thing that a year would bring forth. Wow. This is kind of spooky to me because I was just talking about another play, one of my all-time favorites, called the Oresteia. And in the Oresteia, the entire fallout of that play happens because Agamemnon kills Iphigenia as a sacrifice. Right? And the thing with the Oresteia, what it's all about is this tit for tat unfolding of violence, the cycles of violence that never end. You know, they just keep going around and going around. In the Oresteia, what's most important, the central theme at the end of the play, is when Athena comes in and she calms the Furies, right? And she does it by just taking it like only a goddess can. And she doesn't hit back. And then she invites them into the city, into the templum. Now they are the calmed ones, the Eumenides, right? We have to rise above the fray. You know, this tit for tat violence, it only results in more violence. Exclusion from the community is not a solution. We have to bring everyone to the table, and we have to deal with the now and the present, right? If we want to actually collaborate, if we want to create good works, if we want to work true democracy, you know, you got to establish the courts of law together, as Athena does in the Oresteia, right? And we have to recognize this tit for tat silliness, violence, and what violence brings. Agamemnon hadn't slayed Iphigenia, then everything else in the Oresteia wouldn't have happened. All of the death, all of the destruction. And he does it on a whim to the goddess of light. Well, scary stuff, guys. Lots to ponder here. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to go to Cosmogonic Eros, my man Klages. We're going to get some amazing pagan philosophy, hopefully. All right. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message? What do we take forward? How do we move and flow? What is the inspiration? Oh, wow. Okay. The person who has acquired the concept of distance from the infinity of Copernican space, and in turn measures this against the oikos, consciousness of early history, he might be rightly tempted to call the eros of antiquity by comparison an eros of closeness. What did the ancients have that we don't have? Because of this science perspective, what has the perspective of science removed from us? The erotic closeness of the divine. You know, we used to be far more connected to the natural world. We used to be able to move and flow and hear the harmony. Klages goes on about this at length, about returning back to the Pelasgian, right? The ancient roots of Greece, you know, and learning to be in that tribal flow, to live the way that the ancients did, which is to adapt and to be responsible for themselves, you know, to take care and for everyone to strive. It's a radical philosophy, Klages, but it's an interesting idea to ponder on and to think, right? This eros of closeness versus what do we have in the presence? An eros of distance, right? We've been separated from the divine. The divine is something to be pondered. It's in the ivory tower. It's withheld from us, and it's mediated through priests and through figures and through ritual. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. You can do this yourself. All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to continue. I'm loving the sortes today. We're going to go to the Psychic Bible. Right? Genesis Peorage and the Temple of Psychic Youth. Amazing collaboration of brilliant minds. All right. Muse, guide my hand. What is the message? What do we take forward? How do we best move and flow? Personal disinterest in the ego and glory, but acceptance of it as a necessity to cultural phenomenon and change. Now that is a dangerous line for anyone to walk. Personal disinterest in the ego and glory, but acceptance of it as a necessity to cultural phenomenon and change. Wow. Right? This is about, rising above, and you have to resist even, anyone who's going to engage in sort of transformative work, you run the risk of developing a cult of ego, right? In fact, what they're telling you is it's almost certainly going to happen no matter what you do. The key is to rise above and move beyond it. It has nothing to do with the ego, right? You cannot let the ego bind you. You cannot let glory define you, right? These things are besides the point. The point is the muse, and we ever adore her. All right, beautiful, beautiful. So now we're going to get to our... Sorry, guys. We're going to get to our fairy cards. Just for fun, just out of love, I love me some fairies. Fairies, what is the message? How do we move and flow? Okay. Nature's sign. Be receptive to the subtle messages from nature as you go about your day. Nature talks to us continually. We need only open our hearts and mind. Right? Look for the signs, look for the synchronicities. Look to the world around you, specifically that which is natural, right? Recognize the eternal law, right? Adaptation, grow. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, now we're going to do our tarot proper. So as always, we're going to go to our Thoth Tarot of Lady Frida Harris and Aleister Crowley. We're going to use the Saturn Square and invoke that wisdom to cut our life out onto a plate and ask, what are the connections? How do we best move and flow? How do we evolve and change? What do we need to do to be in that true state of inspiration and following after the muse? All right. We cut our deck in 3, and the middle card is always the most important. Sadie, isn't that beautiful? 10 of Cups, right? This is about that loving abundance. This is about having, not just being in loving in abundance and in community, but having love and abundance to share, having that emotional love to give and giving it freely. Pay attention to the cups, because not only do they flow into each other, but they flow out in glory, right? This is abundance enough to share, right? This is profoundly beautiful energy. You just have to be careful. Overabundance can also be dangerous, right? So let us see where this energy is. Let's see where this energy is going. Futility, As soon as I caution about the abundance, futility comes up. Am I in futile mindset? Maybe. But futility is that mindset of thinking, I can't do it. I can't receive it. I don't deserve this. This isn't going to work, right? But there's all this abundance here. There's all this joy. There's all this love that's being shared. There's all this charity given. It's already happening in spite of your futility, in spite of this thought process, right? You know, we're being overly critical, and thinking that we cannot do. But looks like we're doing. Let's see. Oh, we're definitely moving. We are definitely moving, and it's moving in quickly. 8 of Wands is that swiftness, right? That fiery energy that comes in, that Hermes, bringing that change, profound change. And this is change of a physical kind, right? This is moving forward, upgrading, right? And it's so fun because we also have in Mercury, right, this energy of the Cancer too. So we're getting this kind of like real movement energy here. Interesting. Let's continue. So, well, before I do the next card, yeah, so it's just there's this passionate, fiery energy of change on one hand, but there's a mental resistance to the change. It's like, I need to go, I'm going, I'm moving, I'm running, but I can't, I won't, I'm not. You know, but at the same time, there's all this love and joy that's coming in as a result of this kind of stuff. It's interesting. Let's see. Okay. This loving energy that's coming in, it's all connected to the work, right? This is what you're doing to build your creative pursuits as well as your works that sustain you, right? We all have to work. And this is about your actions have an effect. So let's see where this is going. We have that Knight of Swords, the Knight in Air, right? This is about being that mature energy, okay? This is about being that person who takes charge and is very logical and uses their reason, and goes out to defend that reason, to pursue that reason, to use that logic in defense of others, right? And there's that work here. So this guy's doing this profound work of logic and moving, right? This is someone who is really building, really moving, really in that outgoing masculine energy of manifestation. Okay? All right. This is wild. So what I'm seeing here is there's almost too much of this. Even though we're in this profound energy, okay, this mature, refined, logical energy, it's like there's still overthinking. So much overthinking. This is the issue of the Knight, right? He's so caught up in his own logic and his own reason that sometimes he becomes inactive. He cannot move in flow because he's too busy considering all of the possibilities, weighing them all out, doing that logical computation. But that leads to ruination because you have to move, right? And it's like we can all think things and go, well, that could potentially go wrong there and that could potentially go wrong there. Eventually, you're going to have to settle. You're going to have to take that leap, right? You got to be working. We have this work energy. This guy's trying to build this manifestation of change, but he's showing up in this logical energy of this high-mindedness, overthinking things, and it needs to be more practical, right? And it's leading to this kind of ruination. It's leading to this, defeatism, inability to move. All right, let's continue. Wow. Connected to that Sadie and to that work. We're going to get to this later in our top-down exploration, but we have the 9 of discs gain. Profound physical growth, right? Abundance, the strongest number in the suit of 10, right? This is where you're in that exponential growth, where everything is compounding upon itself, right? Beautiful energy to see here. Okay, let us continue. Oh my gosh. Connected to the gain, we have the 6 of freaking discs. Success. 6 is the most balanced of the discs, right? If 9 is the most powerful, 6 is the most stable, the most secure, the most foundational. right? This is when you win. This is that Apollonian perfection before it starts to turn Saturnian. This is that height, right? This is that Jimi Hendrix moment, right? Before rock starts to get boring and everyone loses interest. You know what I mean, though? Right? And this is, wow, we're having this profound rebirthing energy, right? This child energy coming in, this new love, new growth, a new way of embracing this loving energy, right? You know, this could be physical children coming in, but what I'm seeing even more so is that this is us really taking that feminine emotional approach and growing in this direction, right? And the princess energy always becomes the queen. So we're on this path of loving transformation and really bringing in this abundance energy. This beautiful energy to see with that 10 in our center, right? Wow. Okay. Incredible energy. And it's also this change in this love, right? This pursuit of this loving emotional energy, this child innocence, this new directed focus that's really bringing all of this, that incredible material success, right? Wow. Let us continue. We're now going to tilt the camera down so you can get a view of the full square. Okay, and I'm just going to take a moment and ask you all, if you could, just please give me a like. It really does help the algorithm. I could use the blessing and it's good karma. So if you have 2 seconds, hit the like button. It means it makes a big difference. It really matters, and I appreciate you so much. And if you would like to get in touch with me for a private reading, you can look in the description and you can see my email, snappydds@gmail.com. You can also just email me in general. You know, I'm on the Discord if you want to chat. Always open to conversation. Love to see it. All right. Thank you guys for listening to my spiel. I really appreciate it. So now we're going to do the top down for all of these cards here. So we're going to start on the side with our futility. So yeah, we have our knight who's just in this mental state of stagnation where they're so, you know, this really makes me think, we were talking earlier about Parvati and Shiva. The central theme of that relationship, the Parvati and the Shiva myth, is about how Shiva is timelessness, right? He's brilliant. He's this yogi. He has ascended. He has all this knowledge, but what is he doing? He's sitting by himself on the mountain, right? In utter contemplation, ignoring the world. So Parvati has to climb Mount Kailasha, right? She has to meet him where he's at. She has to woo him and wake him up to get him to do something, because he is in this slumberous thought. He's so caught up in this mental game that he is not acting at all, right? And it takes that love, that image, that beauty, that muse to awaken that slumber into action. You know, people are asking, how do you bring in change? How do you bring in change? It's loving adoration, taking a risk and doing it in that love, taking the leap. You know, sometimes you have to let reason rest, you know? Wow. Okay, we're now going to move here. Oh, sorry, guys. Into our middle here. So again, right? All this loving energy, the 10, Sadie. What is bringing this loving energy in? Our work, which is also bringing in this incredible gain. So this is beautiful energy, right? This is about sharing love, being in abundance, giving freely, and this is connected to that work. So that work is also about sharing, loving, giving freely, being in this abundance, and it's resulting in all this material gain, you know? Wow, beauty, beautiful. This is us happy and sharing and happy to share. Love it. Now we have the swiftness energy, right? That's that passionate fire, that Hermes wand coming in, transformationally, bringing in this passion. And what is it doing? It's upsetting this. Now is a time to embrace desire and love, right? In the face of this kind of overthinking energy. This guy, he needs a fiery kick to the pants. He needs to move. He needs to be an embrace of change, right? This even goes back to the central image I have, right, of that boat on the waves. The boat flows with the waves and never breaks. It bends and it bows. And it can survive the storm and take you safely home because it bends and because it flows. You know, we can't be in this ruinous inaction, overthinking, not doing. You got to embrace that passionate, swift energy of change and bring in this new loving joy, right? Bring in this new relationship, this new connection, this new approach. Wow. Let's do the diagonals now. Okay, we're going to start with this one. We have success to Sadie. Oh, sorry, we'll start with this side, actually. My bad. All right. We have Sadie with the Princess of Cups and the Knight of Logic, right? All of this love, all of this transformational energy is really causing this logic guy to recognize where they're at and how they're stagnating, right? And there is a profound shift. It's like the logic guy is saying, oh, you know, those cups they're really overflowing with love. Maybe I need to be embracing this love energy. Maybe I need to be in this emotional pursuit. Maybe I need to become this princess, right? Maybe this is where I'm supposed to go. Wow. You know, so it's interesting because normally you get this energy of people upgrading to the knight, but this is a knight who is now shifting. They're moving out of that logical stagnation, embracing love and action, you know, and it's bringing in new people, new relationships, bringing in swiftness and movement, right? Okay. Now we'll do the final cross. Wow. You know, extreme success coming in. Extreme success coming in. Loving abundance, profound foundational energy, growth, happiness, all of that kind of stuff. But you know what? I'm getting this energy of you don't think you deserve it, right? That you've always been in this energy of struggle. Who are you not to struggle, right? Why? Why the success? Well, you built this. Nothing just comes from nowhere, okay? Energy is always in flow, okay? It just doesn't, you know, fortuna can change, but it's not, you know, there's far more of an exchange than people realize, and things need to happen, you know, and if you need to just, we need to be able to accept love and abundance and success, you know, and we have to not judge ourselves too much for it, you know, and we also have to be careful too. With all of this success comes responsibility, you know. Success can lead to people's being an ego, as we saw in that sortes. It can lead to so much kinds of abuse and overindulgence, right? People get addicted to attention and they believe it's about the glory, and it's never about the glory, right? The glory is a necessary cultural phenomenon to bring change, as we saw there, right? So, wow. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So that was our tarot reading. I hope that was rewarding for you all. I hope that really resonated. So as a final moment, we're going to go back to In Tune with the Infinite and our man Henry F. Given. And we're going to ask the muses, okay, what is the special message? How do we move best in flow? Inspire us. What do we take from today? This is not the same page. This is another entirely different part of the book. And this time he quotes Shakespeare, "To thine own self be true." And our man Henry F. Given, he underlined it. He underlined it. Be yourselves. Love yourself. Don't worry about the judgment of others. Laugh and take a leap. Enjoy life. Pursue it to its fullest. Follow the muse and what guides you. It's okay. It's okay. Just learn to laugh and play. All right, everyone, that's the message for the day. Peace and love, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.